The biggest secret behind Ibrahimovic's transfers with Mino Raiola. What if the most explosive career in modern football wasn't driven only by bicycle kicks and back heels, but by a hidden operating system off the pitch? What if every leap across Europe, every jaw-dropping unveiling, every perfectly timed exit was the product of a partnership built on brutal honesty, leverage, and timing? This is the untold story of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Mino Raiola, the lion and the super agent, who treated the transfer market like a chessboard and made every move count. Welcome to The Biggest Secret Behind Ibrahimovic's Transfers with Mino Raiola. If you love deep dive football documentaries, like this video and subscribe. It lets us bring you more stories from the game behind the game. Chapter 1. The First Classroom. Melbourne to Amsterdam, Zlatan's origin story is part myth, part documentary. Rosengard, mounted concrete cages, and cold winds. A tall, wiry kid perfecting the feint and slap of street football, learning balance from taekwondo, arrogance from survival. In 2001, the dream call, Ajax, a headline fee for a Swedish teenager. A new life in Amsterdam. But the dream had a fine print. The club cashed big. The kid didn't. Zlatan's first contract made him realize something that would shape everything that followed. Talent gets you in the room. Business determines where you sit. He felt underpaid and outmaneuvered. That sting of being the commodity, not the client, stayed with him. Enter Mino Raiola. No silk tie, no corporate gloss. A t-shirt, sneakers, a disarming bluntness. At a sushi restaurant in Amsterdam, he glanced at Zlatan's flashy watch and said, 6 goals this season, and you wear that? You haven't earned it. Most agents pitch promises. Raiola pitched truth. 10 minutes later, Zlatan fired everyone else. In Raiola, he found a mirror that talked back. The seed of their secret was planted. Negotiate from leverage, not need. Treat narrative like currency. Refuse emotional captivity to a crest. Build exits into entrances. Chapter 2, Juventus, the first power play. By 2004, Amsterdam was too small for Zlatan's appetite. Juventus and Fabio Capello knocked. Raiola choreographed the move with surgical calm. Ajax got their fee. Zlatan got his stage. The deal got its story. In Turin, he exploded goals, swagger, a league title. Behind the curtain, Raiola unveiled key tactics that would define the next 20 years. Narrative manipulation. The transfer market is theater. A strategically leaked giant bid, real or rumored, rewrites a player's price tag before the first negotiation starts. Public perception drags boardroom math behind it. Status clauses. Salary isn't only money. It's a locker room script. You pay an alpha, like an alpha, to make him the alpha. Raiola chased contracts that entrenched position and power, not just paychecks. Zero fear of fallout. You can't optimize a client's career and be popular with every club. Raiola wasn't auditioning for director of football. He was defending a career arc. Then came the earthquake. Calciopoli. Juventus fell from kings to Serie B tradition, asked for loyalty. Raiola asked a harsher question. Is a player's prime a hostage to events he didn't cause? He threatened legal rupture to free Zlatan from a contract made under different circumstances. People called it ruthless. For Raiola, it was simple. Context changed, so must the deal. The exit was immediate and incendiary. Inter Milan, Juve's great rival. Zlatan wasn't a deserter. He was a competitor. And Raiola had turned chaos into a ladder. Chapter 3, Inter. Titles, leverage, and a ceiling called Europe at Inter. Zlatan became a weekly sermon. Overheads, volleys, toe pokes threaded through impossibilities. 3 straight Scudetti. Serie A's top scorer. The San Siro turned his name into thunder. Raiola converted performances into position. He didn't wait for Inter to reward his client. He walked into the office with statistics and trophies and asked a simple question. What are you willing to pay to keep the engine of your dynasty? Inter said, whatever it takes. For a time, Zlatan became the highest paid footballer in the world. But there was a shadow over all the sunlight. The Champions League, domestic dominance, European frustration. Zlatan's ambition was continental, not just national. Raiola read the winds. Where could his client lift big ears fastest? The answer wasn't in Milan. It was in Catalonia. Chapter 4, Barcelona. The beautiful risk and the first big fire. 2009. Pep Guardiola's Barcelona are a living thesis on football. Press, pass, repeat, suffocate, score. Xavi and Iniesta conduct. A young Messi stencils chaos into art. They've just won the treble and want more. Pep wants a different spirit. He wants the Ferrari. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Raiola orchestrated a unicorn of a deal. A cash-plus icon swaps Samuel Eto'o and a mountain of money to Inter for Zlatan. It was absurd. It was audacious. It happened. Zlatan walked into Camp Nou to an unveiling crowd many clubs don't get for a cup final. The start? Cinematic. 5 La Liga games, 5 goals. A Clásico winner. The machine purred. Then the gears changed. Pep shifted Messi to the middle. The false 9 became the sun. Zlatan, an entire solar system, was asked to orbit. Space shrank. Roles blurred. Tension simmered. Zlatan's philosophy is motion. Pep's is geometry. When geometry asked motion to be less, the dressing room met a storm. After a European failure to his old club, Inter, Zlatan's fuse burned out. The famous line, "You bought a Ferrari and drive it like a Fiat," wasn't just critique, it was a manifesto. The confrontation froze the relationship. Pep's response was glacial silence. This is where Raiola's promise became practice. An agent doesn't just negotiate when the sun is out. He extracts when the ceiling caves in. Publicly, he torched Pep's handling. Privately, he pried every window and door, indifferent to sunk cost and optics. In less than a year, he engineered the fastest megastar U-turn of the era. AC Milan on loan with an obligation to buy. Barcelona's embarrassment wasn't Zlatan's burden. The career arc came first. Chapter 5, Milan High, a throne reclaimed, a trapdoor sprung, red and black, again. Zlatan as fulcrum, Milan as blade. The Scudetto returned to Casa Milan. The San Siro turned gladiatorial. Galliani and Raiola, 2 lifers of the craft, grinned like men who'd solved the puzzle. But with trophies comes arithmetic. Ownership turbulence. Budgets tighten. A Qatari turbocharged PSG wants a new aristocracy Thiago Silva, and why not Zlatan? Publicly, Milan swear he stays. Privately, the spreadsheet hums a different tune. Berlusconi says the quiet part out loud. The sale saves a fortune. Zlatan felt blindsided. Raiola was built for exactly this storm. He locked the doors until Paris paid superstar money for a superstar commitment. Wages as statement, clauses as crown. The result, a move that altered France's football gravity. Paris got a king, Zlatan got a stage worthy of his theater. And he delivered. Goals poured, titles stacked. Lines like, "I came as a king, I leave as a legend," weren't arrogance. They were brand governance. In 4 years, he didn't just win League One, he made PSG a global poster. Chapter 6, the super agent as protagonist. By now, Mino Raiola wasn't just a name, it was a genre. Clubs rolled their eyes and rolled out the red carpet. Why? Because he moved ecosystems. He didn't sell players one by one. He orchestrated windows. Watch the 2016 masterclass. Manchester United want Pogba back for a world record fee. Mourinho wants a standard setter up front and a creative conduit in midfield. Raiola delivers 3. Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Zlatan. Sir Alex's old disdain for Raiola dissolves in the modern need for star power. 1 agent, 1 club, 1 summer, a new spine. Zlatan's move to Old Trafford at 34 was part dare, part documentary. The Premier League had long been the prove-it league for stars from elsewhere. He proved it with a trophy-scored debut at Wembley, a League Cup final he grabbed by the lapels, and a Europa League run he powered until his knee gave out. Raiola's deal structure was clever short-term. Big upside, a club option if the myth matched the minutes. It didn't till it didn't. After the ACL, United still re-upped in respect and hope. But Zlatan craved centrality. When the minutes shrank, he needed a new frame to contain the legend. Enter Hollywood. Chapter 7. Los Angeles. The last superstar launch in March 2018. A full-page ad in the LA Times. Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome. 5 words, 1 signature. Who else? The debut 40-yard thunder versus LAFC, a stoppage time winner, wasn't a game. It was a pilot episode. MLS doesn't usually do mythology. Zlatan imported it in bulk. Raiola's role here wasn't about squeezing every dollar MLS has ceilings. It was about maximizing spectacle and expanding the brand's global radius. Late-night shows, billboards, a persona calibrated to a city that eats personas for breakfast. He gave MLS a villain hero. The league gave him a megaphone. 52 goals in 56 games at ages 36 and 37 wasn't supposed to be possible. Zlatan made it content. And when it was time to go, the exit line, "I came, I saw, I conquered. Now go back to watching baseball," wasn't contempt. It was closure written in neon. Chapter 8, Milan 2, The Last Dance, and The Last Dedication 2019. Europe offers sunsets. Zlatan chooses a sunrise. AC Milan are young, erratic, talented, fragile. He returns not as a trophy magnet, but as a thermostat. Training intensity spikes. Mistakes get barked at. Standards move from posters to daily practice. Raiola structures short deals layered with incentives urgency encoded into paper. At 38, 39, 40, Zlatan remains decisive. The squad grows up under his shadow. The table turns. In 2022, Milan lift the Scudetto for the first time in 11 years. The last time? Zlatan was there too. In the delirium of champagne and song, he lifts his shirt, Mino. Weeks earlier, the football world lost Raiola. The lion roared for the architect one last time. Chapter 9, The Operating System. The real secret, strip the fireworks. What remains is an operating system, a set of rules Zlatan and Raiola followed with religious consistency. Leverage is earned, then wielded. Performance builds proof. Narrative multiplies it. Timing cashes it in. Zlatan performed. Raiola multiplied. Together they timed. Every contract is a launchpad. You sign for where it can take you next, not just what it pays you now. Exits are not betrayals. They're bridges. Status is a strategic asset. Money matters, but so do symbols. Shirt number, captaincy, clauses that enshrine centrality. Leadership written into ink becomes leadership lived in the dressing room. Conflict is a lever, not a lifestyle. You don't look for fights. But when a project turns inhospitable tactically or culturally, you don't linger. You root. Brand is ballast. The quotes, unveilings, adds the "Dear Los Angeles, the King legend" line aren't vanity. They are market equity. The bigger the aura, the wider the set of doors that open at 34, 36, 38. Loyalty is to the arc. Clubs are institutions with their own imperatives. Players are finite athletes with finite primes. Sentiment sells shirts. Strategy wins careers. Agents are guardians of trajectory. A good agent finds a contract. A great agent defends a story. What are we building? Where does this chapter point? What do we become if we stay? Who do we become if we go? This wasn't chaos. It was choreography. Chapter 10. Why clubs still dealt with Raiola. If Raiola was so combative, why did superclubs keep taking his calls? Because value wins arguments. With him came alphas who move results and markets. Presidents might grumble about agent fees, but CEOs calculate lifetime value. Titles, ticket sales, broadcast glow, global footprint. The math kept saying yes. He also professionalized a kind of dealcraft most clubs weren't ready for. Image rights nuance, performance-indexed bonuses, release conditions that protected the player from institutional whiplash. When you negotiate that way across decades, you don't just close deals, you change templates. Many clauses that are now standard were battles first fought in rooms where Mino was called impossible until the pen hit the paper. Was he loved? Often not. Was he respected? In the only currency that matters at that table results, absolutely. Chapter 11, The Human Core. Beyond the headlines, there was a human pact. Raiola took the two aim calls. He showed up in hospital rooms. He told truths that sting and shielded when criticism became circus. Zlatan, in turn, gave him complete trust. No agent works miracles without that fuel. When Zlatan said, "Call the other agents and cancel," in that first sushi meeting, he didn't just hire a representative. He picked a co-author. Their personalities were made to collide with the world and align with each other, two men, uninterested in being domesticated by institutions. It's why the Barcelona year, painful as it was, didn't break them. It proved the system. When a dream becomes a shoe that doesn't fit, you don't cut off toes, you change the shoe. Chapter 12. After the roar, Mino Raiola's passing in 2022 left a silence the football world didn't expect to feel. For years, he was painted as the villain of the modern game. Too powerful, too loud, too expensive. Then he was gone, and the testimonials poured in. Players across continents wrote the same sentence in different languages. He fought for me. A year later, Zlatan stepped to the San Siro center circle and said goodbye to the game. The Lion's last words were a hymn to an improbable, audacious path. You could hear the missing voice, the one that argued with presidents and laughed with players and told kings they hadn't earned their watches yet. The arc was complete. If you're a young pro watching this, here's the distilled wisdom of the Raiola operating system. Your first big contract is a classroom. Learn who gets paid and why. Learn how you fit into that logic, or you never will. Hire people who tell you what you don't want to hear. Comfort is expensive. Truth is profitable. Build exits when you sign. A club's culture can change overnight. Your knees and years can't. Protect your status with structure. Leadership written into clauses becomes leadership lived in teams. Curate your persona. It's not ego for its own sake. It's market gravity. The right line at the right time buys you time when form flickers. If you're a fan, remember, transfers aren't just numbers changing on a TV ticker. They're agency versus institution, ambition versus inertia, narrative versus nostalgia. You don't have to approve to understand. But when you understand, the movie gets better. If you're the game itself, learn what it learned from men like Raiola. Transparency beats myth. Players aren't assets with laces, and the healthiest markets are the ones where power balances, not calcifies. The biggest secret behind Zlatan Ibrahimovic's transfers isn't a single trick or a smoky backroom revelation. It's an ethic. Control your story. Zlatan did it with goals and theater. Raiola did it with clauses and conflict. Together, they built a career like a novel chapters, cliffhangers, callbacks, and a final scene that made you feel the whole journey. Thank you for watching. If this deep dive gave you a new lens on football's transfer theater, smash the like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments. Which Zlatan move shocked you most and why? We read them all. Until next time, remember, in football and in life, don't just sign the contract.